Welcome to the beautiful island of Malta. This jewel in the heart of the Mediterranean will, for 1 week, put aside its peaceful, relaxed atmosphere as it plays host to the loudest, most outlandish, most adrenaline-fueled competition on the planet. Welcome to World's Strongest Man 2009.
Yeah!
30 of the world's strongest men are chomping at the bit to see who can walk away with the ultimate prize in strength athletics. Amongst them in Heat 1 are Englishman Jimmy Marcoux and last year's runner-up, the American Derek Poundstone. So it's time to crack on with the action. Let's head on over to the first event with all the details. Here's Zoe Salmon.
Thank you very much, Martin. We are all raring to go down here at the very first event of the medley. 3 athletes at a time will go head-to-head down the 20-metre course. First off, they'll have to pick up this. It is a 100-kilogram cannonball. They'll take it 10 metres down the lane until they get to the sledge. Once they've done that, they can throw the cannonball in and then run the whole way back to get the 105-kilogram keg. They need to come back, throw that in the sledge with the cannonball. That is a combined weight of 335 kilograms. That is very heavy. They're going to have to pick the whole thing up, which of course I cannot do, and go 20 metres down to that finish line. Tough stuff. So who would I put my money on? I would say the American runner-up from last year, Derek Poundstone.
Thanks very much, Zoe. We'll be seeing Poundstone in the second of the 2 heats. Let's have a look at the rules for this first event. The time limit, 75 seconds. And all the objects have got to be carried way down the course in the fastest possible time. The combined weight, 335 kilos. And here's our first competitor, very tough customer indeed, Konstantin Ilin from the Ukraine. His body weight over 300 pounds. The giant Sebastian Venter, 6 feet 7, 331 pounds, an awesome physique. A little bit of doubt about the form of Kevin Nee of the United States. He's had 1 or 2 bad injuries this season, but he too weighs at a massive 300 pounds plus. So away we go. Right in the centre, the tallest man, as you can see, Sebastian Venter, perhaps just in the lead at the moment, crashing down into the sledge. Kevin Nee just a little bit behind Colin.
Well, Sebastian Venter is more used to throwing balls than carrying them. He's a former shot put champion of Poland. But look at Nee, he's got both arms bandaged up. He tore his biceps just about 18 months ago, and he thinks he might have redone it. He's very nervous about it. Everything he's doing is cagey in the warm-up, and, well, he seems a bit cagey now. But look at this, Ilin charged off into the lead there, but the body weight of Venter's really helping him with this drag.
If Venter could just keep his arms straight and use his body weight even more, the momentum of that sledge would keep going all the way to the finish. You can imagine the friction is making it very hard, but Sebastian Venter over the line inside 1 minute. So not a bad start from the man from Poland, Konstantin Ilin, approaching the line, but Kevin Nee, well, he looks as though he's all in.
Well, Nee looks almost like he's ready to give up. He's glancing over to the sideline there, looking at the other American competitors.
There's the whistle, and so Kevin Nee has to be satisfied with just over 16 metres. For the fastest time, though, Sebastian Venter, 54.37, not bad. Konstantin Ilin, 66.49. Not sure that'll figure in the overall standings, but you can see the toll it has taken on Kevin Nee.
In lane 1, representing Canada,
Heat number 2.
Louis-Philippe Jean.
Louis-Philippe Jean. Massive man again. They're all big fellas.
In lane 2, from England, Jimmy Marcoux.
Jimmy Marcoux, the shortest of the competitors, but a very tough customer indeed. Comes from Harrow.
In lane 3, representing the USA, Derek
One of the favourites,
Poundstone.
Derek Poundstone, finished second in World's Strongest Man last year. As Zoe said in the introduction, he could be a threat to everybody.
Well, Poundstone, despite being so heavy, very fit athlete. He's won just about everything in the last 12 months. The only thing he hasn't won is World's Strongest Man, and well, some people say he threw it away on the final stone last year against Pudzianowski, so he's got something to prove this year. But look at this, Marku, Britain's strongest man, doing very well.
Tell you what, Jimmy Marku's had a cracking start to World's Strongest Man in 2009, but Poundstone just grinds out those hard yards. He's heading towards the finish. It's going to be a very quick time indeed. Just a little hiccup before he goes over the line. That is fast. 38.71. Marku is finished, and so is Louis-Philippe Jean. The top three all coming from Heat 2. That was fantastic.
Well, I think that's a big scalp for Marku. Louis-Philippe Jean, twice Canada's strongest man. Very impressive, very strong legs as well, so good scalp to take there. Second for Marku, very good for the Brit.
Louis-Philippe Jean there looking quite satisfied, but Jimmy Marku, when he recovers, he will be smiling all over his face. Good start for the Englishman, but Derek Poundstone has really laid down a marker to everybody else in this competition. That was superb.
As expected, the 2008 runner-up is leading the way here in Malta, but England's Jimmy Marku has got off to a very respectable start in an event he's not ideally suited to. The same can be said for the next event. The truck pull proved Marku's undoing last year. To find out if he's conquered those demons, join us after the break. Welcome back to World's Strongest Man 2009 here in Malta, where England's Jimmy Marku has made a good start. It's time to head back to Zoe Salmon, who's joined by a true legend of this sport and a competitor who, in his time, was practically unbeatable in this next event.
I am the most excited person in the world right now because I'm here with not once, not twice, but 3 times World's Strongest Man, Mr. Bill Kazmaier. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Well, tell us, I have heard, could be wrong, but this little baby weighs 20 tons. Surely not.
It's true. It's one of the heaviest trucks ever pulled. It's really going to be a difficult pull.
Wow, so what techniques are we going to be looking out for today?
Well, the guys are going to be strapped in and pulling hard on the rope, but they're going to have to stay really low and use their legs like pistons, and their arms are going to have to act just like their legs to get this truck all the way down the course. Some guys are probably not going to finish.
And on that note, actually, who we should be looking out for is Mr. Jimmy Marku, because last year he failed to even move the truck.
Well, Jimmy Marku certainly got off to a good start in event 1. There are the rules for the truck pull. 75 seconds, the time limit, 25 metres the course, and as Zoe was saying, 20 tons the weight. So that's what faces Louis-Philippe Jean of Canada in 3rd place after the first event. Didn't get away to a particularly good start, but came through strongly in the end. Now, you heard what Bill Kazmaier said. You've got to use the legs like pistons and stay low. So Jean just squeezing the rope there. That's not bad technique, Colin.
No, that pulling rope needs to stay as close to horizontal as possible. It's a little like propping in rugby. I'm sure Martin Bayfield could tell us a lot more about that, but the lower you are, the more you're getting your legs into it. Of course, the forces from the arms very important as well. You have to try and keep that pulling rope as tight as possible. You don't want this truck to stop because the inertia of getting it started again is very hard to get over.
Tell you what, Colin, I bet there'd be a few good prop forwards in World's Strongest Man this year. They're all big, strong fellas. So here we go, and of course endurance is a massive factor in rugby, and it's a huge factor in this truck pull. He's got to keep going. The front of the truck has to cross the line before the whistle goes. It's going to be inside 1 minute. There we go. It's not a huge time in terms of 58 seconds plus, but it does lay down a marker for everybody else to beat.
Under a minute, very good time by Jean. can see how hard the getaway is on the legs, but it's very hard on the arms too.
Kevin Nee of the United States now. Disappointing start for him to this contest, and still a huge question mark as to his fitness. And as Colin was saying, when we saw the last competitor, he's got to use the arms. And Colin, it's the arms that are really suspect as far as Kevin Nee are concerned.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not going to use your arms in a truck pull, then you need colossal body weight. Someone like Terry Hollands, Brian Shaw, they could get away with it. They're nearly 200-kilo men, but Kevin Nee, you can see he's really quite a slight frame for World's Strongest Men competitors. He's under 300 pounds. He's a slim man compared to the other guys. So if his arms aren't working, that's going to cause him big problems. And it is. He's going slowly.
Well, a former team member of the USA team, which won the Team Strongest Man competition a couple of years ago, driving forward. They're not very long steps, but actually that can be an advantage sometimes.
Well, yeah, if you overstride, then you can get yourself in a position that isn't very powerful. But these are almost too small. You can see he's starting to stand up now. He's not really using his legs. He's just trying to lean in and use his body weight. And, well, it's going to be a slow time. He's going to get inside the 75 seconds, but he's well behind Jean.
65.59 seconds for Kevin Nee. The advantage for him is he's still in one piece. He still can carry on in the competition. That's the main thing.
Well, we're looking at his grip there. Look how loose the rope is. It's slack, it's not tight. He wasn't using his arms at all. There is an injury.
Well, Jimmy Marku is still smiling after that second place in the first event. Good start for Britain's Strongest Man from 2008. The leading time so far, 58.28 by Louis-Philippe Jean of Canada. And this is good technique by Jimmy Marku.
What I love about Jimmy, any competition, he always arrives with a smile on his face. But he turns it on at the last minute. Last year, though, it was just so poor for him, the truck pull. It really ruined his chances of getting through to the finals. He was last in his heat there. And he turned it around. His technique isn't brilliant, Paul. It really isn't. He's doing steps that are far too small. He's moving 2 or 3 inches with each step. He's got massive legs. He should stride a little bit longer, drive further with each and every pull.
So Jimmy Marku just wobbling a bit there. Keeping the pressure on, though. Looks as though it could be quite a good time. But remember, we've got some fantastic competitors to come. So Jimmy Marku staying low, driving for the line. Just a reminder, 58.28 to beat.
But he's got better shoes on this year. He's got rock climbing shoes, gives you much better grip. Last year he didn't have the right equipment, and that doesn't help. You really have to be professional about your approach. And Jimmy Marku's time then, 1:07, that's behind Nee.
He could end up in 6th place overall. Let's have a look at it again. He really tired towards the end. Well outside the 1 minute marker.
Wow, Jimmy, what a market improvement in last year. You must be absolutely delighted the crowds are all behind you there.
Yeah, I don't know how I did, Paul. I did not do so. I don't know the turn, but I kept going. And the crowd helped me, so yeah, it's finished at least.
Well, Sebastian Venter looked very, very confident at the beginning of this event, but he began to struggle halfway down the course. Eventually got the 20-ton truck moving and finished in 58.37, but we understand he may have sustained an injury.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Ukraine,
Konstantin Ilin of the Ukraine. And when anybody comes here from the Ukraine, we always know they're very, very strong indeed. Away we go. Well, this fella comes from Kiev, and that is a real centre of excellence for power events and strongman events like this one.
I've seen him compete a couple of times this year in the summer. Very strong overhead, very strong in the powerlifting movements. I haven't seen him do many athletic movements, but he looks good at the moment. He's very low to the ground. really aggressive as well, isn't he? Absolutely giving it his all here. He knows he's representing the Ukrainian flag, and that means a lot to someone from Ukraine. They've got Vasyl Vereshchuk in the history books as champion in 2004, so a lot is riding on him.
He's also got a great cheerleader alongside him, the great Mariusz Pudzianowski there on the far side. Got a fair set of abs as well. Coming across the line now, that's a very good time indeed. Konstantin Ilin there, 50.08. That could be a winning time, a cracker.
Oh, there's a bit of camaraderie between Pudzianowski and Ilin. He doesn't speak English, just speaks Russian and Ukrainian. Of course, Pudzianowski speaks multiple languages, and he's been coaching him through this truck pull in Russian.
One more competitor to go in the truck pull. So 20-ton truck behind him. He'll just be concentrating on getting down that 20-meter course as fast as he possibly can.
You ready?
Little nod of the head there says, yes, I'm ready. Then squeezes that rope. Make sure the harness is tense behind him. There's no slack there. Now he can begin to drive on. And he's just seen the fastest time being set by Konstantin Ilin. I tell you what, he's going for it big time here.
This summer I saw him pull 2 double-decker buses in a row. He really is very good at this type of event. He's so fit, he's athletic. In many ways, he's come out of the same mold as Pudzianowski.
This is absolutely fantastic. He's going to destroy the time set by Ilin. That is win number 2 for Derek Poundstone. Absolutely unstoppable at the moment. 42.66. That is miles better than anybody else today.
And how can you do something that hard, exert that much energy for over 40 seconds, and still not be out of breath? Amazing, really.
Absolutely superb. Maximum points once more.
Derek, congratulations. That was a great time, but we all know you're a good puller, so surely that time mustn't come as a huge surprise to yourself.
You know, I was a little surprised. I was pulling the same truck the last 5 weeks in training. It was heavier than this by 15,000 pounds, but this has more wheels. I had a real hard time getting momentum, and I was having a hard time. I didn't know if I should try to jog with it a little bit or keep, just kind of grinding through it. So I was indecision. I think cost me some time too, but I think it's a good time altogether.
No surprises to see Jimmy Marcoux at the bottom of the pile after an event where height is definitely an advantage. Derek Poundstone maintains that 100% record, and Ukrainian Konstantin Ilin takes second. Poundstone still top, but Louis-Philippe Jean has taken the number 2 spot. 5 points for Ilin moved him into third, and Marcoux has slipped but remains in touch of those qualifying places. Well, as expected, Derek Poundstone leading the way here in Malta. But next up is an event that hasn't always suited the big American. It's a classic strongman event. It's painful, and this year it's even heavier than ever. It's the squat lift.
So I suppose you could call this apparatus the rack of pain. 7 maximum lifts. That will take us to a maximum weight of 370 kilos. Nobody has reached maximum so far, but Ilin and Nee lead. But some bad news for one of our competitors.
No good. My back very pain. Today finish for me competition. Thank you very much.
That's a real disappointment for Venter. There's the time limit, 75 seconds. The range of weight starting off at 280, finishing on 370, and a maximum, of course, of 7 reps. Well, we heard that this could not be Derek Poundstone's best exercise. But after all, he is leading comfortably at the moment, 2 wins out of 2. And that is an absolutely superb performance. Bare feet, or just wearing the socks there for protection. That will give him a better hip position.
Squat!
And to say he's not very good at squatting, look at the size of his legs.
Well, you can see why Sebastian Venter didn't fancy this if his back is hurting. Down at the bottom, your legs are hitting parallel to the ground. Up he comes again. He's not using any knee wraps. That's one of the aids that these guys normally use. I'm surprised Poundstone isn't using it. I reckon he's more comfortable like this, though. Oh, here comes number 6. Up it goes.
Now, can he do 7? This would hurt the rest of the competition because it could be win number 3. A big breath. Just, but anyway, it's a very good time for 6 lifts. He goes into the lead at 30.02. Is there any stopping this man going through to the final?
Well, I think Poundstone would have liked to do all 7. He looked good for it in the first few lifts. Surprising, really, that he didn't get that last one.
So only one more competitor to go, England's Jimmy Marcoux, who missed out on a place in the final for the last 2 years. I wonder how he feels.
I'm quite confident I can squat any time. I think I will go on to squat, but there's some good squatters in my group as well, so see what comes. I think if I come to the stones and lose again, I think I'm just going to get Atlas stone and just put in my living room and just look at it until the day I die. That's all I can do. There's the top 30 guys in the world, so hopefully I don't do mistakes. Whoever's going to make a mistake is going to have to wait until next year.
I certainly like that quote by Jimmy Marcoux, born to squat. Great physique, tremendously powerful legs. And a good time to beat here by Derek Poundstone, 30.02. Here we go.
Good squat. 2 years ago in Anaheim, Jimmy was squatting there. He beat everybody, including Pudzianowski, squatted every single weight. Though it's a little bit heavier, well, a little bit, I say, it's 10 kilos per lift heavier this year.
Well, if he were to win this one, he could certainly consolidate his second place behind Derek Poundstone, and that would do his chances of going through to the final very, very well indeed. He's going to win this one. He's got it, 25.57 for 6 repetitions, and that beats Derek Poundstone.
Well, it's the fastest time of anyone, but Marcoux doesn't manage it. Bit surprised with that one.
Marcoux maintains his reputation as one of the best squatters in the world, and Derek Poundstone once again shows why he is considered by many the favourite for the title this year. In this 5-man heat, the American is now 5 points clear and already looking good for a place in the final. That fine performance from Marcoux has put him back into the qualifying places, but Ilin and Jean look dangerous. Especially with the Englishman looking in some discomfort after that last effort. It may have been a battle for Marcoux, but the American Derek Poundstone looks to be on cruise control here in Malta. To find out if he can maintain his dominance of Group 1, join us after the break. Welcome back to the beautiful Mediterranean island of Malta and its capital Valletta, a bustling city steeped in history, much like our in-house World's Strongest Man expert Bill Kazmaier. He and Zoe Salmon are at the next event.
Kaz, I can't quite get my head around this. How on earth are our athletes supposed to lift this 425 kilogram car?
Well, they're going to be strapped in. They're going to have to believe that the car is not really that heavy. The number to me is 950 pounds, and what that's going to do is push down on every vertebrae and squish every disc. To take it down the 25-meter course is really going to be tough. They're going to have to control it with their hands and be able to take a ton of pain.
It sounds like a complete and utter nightmare to me, and in all this heat, goodness, anything could happen.
Was there a slight smile on the face there when he said a ton of pain? There are the rules. 75 seconds again. Must be carried 25 metres, and it is a heck of a weight. Well, Kevin Nee has already been, 46.53 his time, and 4 athletes to go.
From the Ukraine,
Konstantin Ilin. Now, how much has he got left? He's got to play catch-up in terms of coming in the top 2 over the last 3 events. Doesn't so much step into the car as put it on. It's a phenomenal weight to be lifted, but I guess the really tricky thing on this one, Colin, is the balance.
It is the balance. It's 70 stone in weight, this car, but it's not evenly balanced. There's quite a bit more weight to the front, so they have to lean forward, try and get in the harness properly and pull the car back with their arms. Oh, and look at that, it's dipped down. As soon as these rubber tyres dig into the ground, I'm afraid they're pinned, they're locked. It's not going to roll. It's not going to be a Fred Flintstone situation and you can run it over the line. You have to pick it up again And that pickup, look how hard it is. He's got to reposition. Big breath in. Oh, it's tough just to get it moving again.
Well, the sun is beating down on the forehead of Konstantin Ilin. He's getting close, but it's outside of the time set by Kevin Nee, just over 49 seconds. And when he hears that, he's not going to be a happy man. He's absolutely shattered too.
And it's bouncing left to right. You've got to try and hold it a little bit more stable. It's his first go at this, first World's Strongest Man, and this is one of the hardest events to do.
Jimmy Marku!
Jimmy Marku looking very relaxed indeed. That was a terrific win in the last event, but how much did it take out of him? We saw him in the treatment room. There could be a question mark about just how fit he is.
Well, if you've got a bad back, a bad anything, it's going to be found out right now. Of all the muscles in the human body, I reckon this exercise uses every single one, except the muscles for smiling. Your arms, your grip, your calves. Try to stabilize with your toes. Never mind all the big muscles of the quads. And his pain is in the back. Look at all that crushing down on his spine.
Well, we've used some pretty hairy adjectives to describe this event, certainly in the introduction, and you heard just what Colin said. Aerobatic crushing down on the shoulders and the back, and Jimmy Marku is definitely suffering. This is very bad news indeed. He worked his way back into second place, and this is going to be a massive disappointment for Jimmy. He's way out of it in terms of points. Currently in third place, but still some good competitors to come.
A disappointment for Jimmy, but I think he knew this was coming. He just couldn't push himself through the pain, and it's an injury. You just can't.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Canada, Louis-Philippe Jean.
The latest of a long line of great Canadian strongmen, Louis-Philippe Jean.
Ready?
Canada's strongest man. Now then, just look at those shoulders. Not so much sprinting, but it's certainly a very steady pace he's setting. And still the time to beat is 46.53 by Kevin Nee, and I think he's going well.
Yeah, he's moving about as quick laden as unladen, isn't he? He's doing very well here. 950 pounds on his shoulders. It's all over the place. It's not pretty at all. But what I like about him, Paul, is he's got a sort of arrogance of youth about Jean. I'm not saying he's arrogant, he's a very likeable character, but he attacks everything with great confidence, just bullies his way through here.
He's certainly filling up that car, isn't he? Almost going off course, but managed to steer a straight line in the end, and that was a very, very quick time. Well, Derek Poundstone, he's up next. Almost won on his debut in World's Strongest Man, but just got beaten by Mariusz Pudzianowski.
Stone last year, I mean, it just came down to rushing. I took a risk. It was raining out, it was slippery, and I decided not to regrip it before I loaded to the platform, and that extra half-inch height would have helped me, load it on the platform. So I made a decision, and I have to live with that. I've won every major title on Strongman except World's Strongest Man. So I think to really, truly make my legacy sort of what it is, I have to win it. No one remembers the other shows. People remember World's Strongest Man, so it's something that is empty in me. Very few people, I think, have put through the training that I have. So I definitely feel like I'm the guy who can walk away with it.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the United States of America, Derek Poundstone!
Well, I wonder if Derek Poundstone is the man. Certainly the way he's been going in the first few events, he's heading towards the final. I don't think there's any doubt about that at all. But can he make this win number 3?
I don't think there's any doubt here, Paul. Look how quick he is. Unless he trips over, he's going to finish this in an incredibly quick time. Poundstone has returned, and I think he's in even better form than last year. Pudzianowski, beware. All of them beware. Look at this. Time under 20 seconds.
That was outstanding. Mind you, we've used that word quite a few times so far in relation to Derek Poundstone. Absolutely super. He's done it again.
Derek, coming runner-up last year, must have been pretty disappointing to get so close. So how are you feeling this year about tackling the final?
The guys are sort of starting to fall apart. You know, we had a lot of quads these last 2 days, and we're really sort of beaten up. I feel pretty good. I strained my right quad a little bit. That was a safe run for me. Like I said, at this point, I knew I was going to be guaranteed the final after the run, so I just want to figure out how fast I can go with the car, so in the final I can maybe shave off 3 seconds or so, you know.
Good plan of attack. Okay, we'll wish you all the best with that, and congratulations once again. Great time.
Thank you.
Another easy victory for Poundstone, but bad news for Jimmy Marcoux, the Englishman, the only man not to complete the course, and looking in some pain. That was a brave effort from Jean, though. And it has given the Canadian a great chance of joining Poundstone in the final. The last 2 events do not suit Jimmy Marcoux, and here's Zoe with the details of the first of them.
Yes, Martin, I'm down here at the dumbbell press. Sounds really quite simple, doesn't it? The sort of thing that we all do time to time down at the gym. But the difference here is that the size of the dumbbells seem to have increased slightly significantly. These things are 3 feet wide and 95 kilograms. That's 15 stone in one hand above the head as many times as possible. No way.
Well, look at Derek Poundstone is lifting 60 kilos with one hand. Good warm-up for the next event. He's going to be tough to beat. 75 seconds the time limit. The actual weight they have to lift, 95 kilos. That's 15 stone. That is absolutely incredible. Well, one man who didn't manage the single-arm lockout was Kevin Nee of the United States. We know he's had problems ever since the beginning, but this just compounded the injury to his arm. He was out of the contest. Huge disappointment for the American.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Canada,
Now then,
Louis-Philippe
Jean, what can he do? He's in second place. He's in a qualifying position to get into World's Strongest Man final. Konstantin Ilin, he's got to produce something special here. Only one event to go after this one. He's got to make this one count.
Take your position.
Well, 95 kilos. It's not quite as heavy as Martin Bayfield, but it is a prolific weight. And balance, Colin, is always going to be a problem.
Well, it's as heavy as a heavyweight boxer, isn't it? David Haye weighs about the same as this enormous dumbbell. But look how awkward it is as well. It's bigger than your head on either side. It doesn't sit well on your shoulders. And you know what? In this near 40-degree heat, that black dumbbell is scorching hot as well.
Down.
Tell you what, I like Konstantin Ilin's technique. Nearest the camera there. Just watch this. He squats underneath it. That is superb. He's going well.
Yeah, he uses his legs a lot better than Jean does. Jean tries to bully it up with his big arms and shoulders. Look, Ilin snaps it up with his legs. Almost like an Olympic weightlifter, isn't he?
Well, Konstantin Ilin has moved 1 repetition ahead of the Canadian. Not quite sure that one counted for Jean either. And Ilin now moves 2 ahead. He's still got time to get another couple of reps if he's quick. Swings that weight up. Displaying very good technique. Still going well. This is going to be a big total.
Well, for both of these men, they have to try and put out a big total.
There it is. Ilin gets 8. The current leader, and Louis-Philippe Jean, he gets 6. And that, too, is a very good total, again, for the Canadian.
Well, I was just saying there that Marcoux comes out with Poundstone. We've already got 2 injuries. This heat's starting to become who's the survivor rather than who's the winner. And for both of them, they just had to try and get a total better than Marcoux can do.
Well, Jimmy Marcoux is certainly up against it in terms of trying to get a qualifying position. This fella, however, is just displaying such technique, such poise, and super strength. So come on, Jimmy, it's all down to you. I'll tell you what, he's got a huge amount of support here. What a beautiful setting we have for this competition. 95 kilos. Now, can Jimmy Marcoux be the first to get it up? No, he can't. The American is going well already, and that is looking very hard indeed for the Englishman.
Well, Derek Poundstone holds the world record for this weight. He's done 15 repetitions in a minute and a half, so the time's a little bit less. But I think if Poundstone was pushed, he could probably knock out 12, 13. But Marcoux, look at this, he doesn't even use his legs. He's trying to... Oh, no, and he's trying to use two arms. Even if he got that up, Marcoux would be given a negative lift there, a no lift.
Interesting that Derek Poundstone is using his left arm. This is an exercise I've seen some of the world's best shot putters do. The coordination between the shoulders and the legs is excellent. Derek Poundstone says, how many more have I got to do to win? It's just one more. And unfortunately, as you see, Jimmy Marcoux, no repetitions. But Poundstone knows he's victorious again. Come on. That is like a great circus performer, isn't it? He made it look easy.
Well, this has come straight out of the circus from 100 years ago, Paul. It's quite nice to see old events like this coming back in. Marcoux, though, he obviously hasn't watched the performances of circus performers from years past. He doesn't know the technique. He hasn't learnt it. Just trying to brute force it up, and it doesn't work like that. Poundstone knows the trick.
Derek, congratulations. You made it look very easy indeed. I have the feeling that you were really looking forward to doing that.
I think it's one of my better events, is the dumbbell, you know, so it's a little awkward than the one that I usually train with, but I got a rhythm, wasn't too bad.
And a little bit of showboating there near the end.
I guess that's why people come down here, you know, it's not a chess match, you know.
Well, the Derek Poundstone show continues, but things are going from bad to worse here for Jimmy Marcoux. He and Kevin Nee both failing to bother the scorers, and the American will take no further part in the contest. Marcoux needs a miracle to make the final now. The two men above him, Ilin and Jean, are realistically in a straight shootout for the right to join Derek Poundstone in the final. The American has dominated this contest from the off. Jean and Ilin will fight it out in the Atlas Stones. That's next.
Welcome back to Malta for the very final event in this program for World's Strongest Man qualification. 5 Atlas stones have to be lifted inside a time limit of 75 seconds. The weights ranging from 100 to 160 kilos, and it has to be done in the fastest possible time. So a real chance here for two smilers. Derek Poundstone, the leader after 5 events. His place in the final is actually guaranteed. Jimmy Marcoux may be all smiles, but he hasn't got a chance of going through to the final yet again. There are the standings. Derek Poundstone is actually running away with this one, 29 points, but it's all set up beautifully between Louis-Philippe Jean and Constantin Ilin for that second place. So we'll see that battle in just a moment. But first of all, Poundstone on the left-hand side and Jimmy Marcoux just for pride. And it's Poundstone who gets away first.
Well, Poundstone's not messing around here. Last time he was on these stones, he threw away the World's Strongest Man crown. And I think he's using this as a little confidence builder for the final. So far, so good. He's on to the 4th. Jimmy just enjoying the afternoon sun, I think.
Well, it's certainly a stroll in the park for Derek Poundstone, but he's having a problem with the big stone once more. I wonder if he's got a mental block about this one. He certainly did in the final last year.
Well, almost like a golfer, it lipped out last year, didn't it? And here it goes. Can he get it up? Surely. No, he can't. Well, he's not the tallest competitor, Poundstone. He says he's over 6 foot. I wouldn't like to disagree with him on anything, really, but I'd probably say 5'11" and 3/4, and it doesn't help on these high platforms. Here we go, one last attempt. He must be wanting to get this up. He looked over with a slightly nervous smile to his girlfriend.
Oh, well, Derek Poundstone having real problems here. I bet he's glad it's not the final. And Jimmy Marcoux, he's out of time, but he finished with a flourish on stone number 4. But there is our champion, and there is a man who's going to be a big, big threat in the final.
Well, what is he going to say to the other athletes? I wasn't trying? Oh, this is going to be a bit of a confidence blow for Poundstone in the final. Here's Marku. He can put the stones up. He could have done it a lot faster if he needed to, but he didn't. Poundstone's practice run through, though, has certainly not been perfect.
Jimmy, fantastic effort there with the 4 stones, but you just knew not to even attempt that last one.
Well, I knew it's not going to make a difference, and I left it many times, but part of being assured in this event, it doesn't help. It helps in lots of other things, but in this event, it doesn't help.
So it's the end of the road here for you, but fantastic journey for you this year. Learned anything?
Well, this year I had a few problems, few things, which has been constantly in my life, so he's done and does it now, so yeah, I'll be back next year.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome out the next 2 athletes.
It's our final action.
From Canada, Louis-Philippe Jean.
Louis-Philippe Jean up against a very strong Ukrainian. And it's simple mathematics. Whoever wins this one goes through to the final with Derek Poundstone. Well, both men are certainly psyched up for it. This is going to be a cracker. And this is what World's Strongest Man is all about, Colin. It's mouth-watering stuff.
Up goes the first one for Jean. He was very quick, but Ilan, he's a couple of inches shorter, and that very high platform, oh, he's taken a blow to the head. Jean now has looked back, he's seen he's in the lead. That must give him a lot of confidence.
Well, I think Ilan is simply not tall enough. We know how strong he is. He's a couple of inches shorter than the Canadian. And this fella is absolutely flying. Just takes a little look out of the corner of his eye across at Ilan. And Ilan's in all sorts of problems. He's hurting, and he must know now his chance of reaching the final is gone.
Well, let's see if Jean gets this up. He's got to finish it off, and that's the body blow to Ilan.
And just to rub salt in the wound, Louis-Philippe Jean has actually won this event, and look at the blood from Ilan's head. He gave it absolutely everything.
Canada goes to final of the World's Strongest Man. Bonjour mes fans du Québec, on va en finale.
There's a very proud man from Quebec, and he could be a threat in the final. Ilan, bloody and battered, and he is out. Huge disappointment for Konstantin Ilan, and this is where it all went wrong, Colin.
Well, you certainly can't question his commitment, can you? But Jean goes through to his first final.
A perfect 5 from Louis-Philippe Jean guarantees him a spot in the final, and Derek Poundstone once again fails to lift that last stone. Let's hope for his sake that doesn't come back to haunt him. Jimmy Marku fails to claim a final berth. He'll be bitterly disappointed with this tally. Konstantin Ilan can be very proud of his debut performance, but ultimately it's Poundstone and Jean that make it through. Well, plenty of big-name casualties there, but congratulations to Derek Poundstone and Louis-Philippe Jean as they book their place in the final. Can Poundstone improve on last year's second-place finish, and will the big Canadian seize this opportunity and impress? We shall find out. Next up, it's Heat 2, and the chance for England's Mark Felix to make amends for last year's disappointments. Until then, goodbye.
And there's a chance to win a World's Strongest Man goodie bag if you just take the time to visit bravo.co.uk. Go on, have a go. McIntyre's Crime Capitals is next.
Welcome to qualifying Heat 2 of World's Strongest Man 2009. Now, last time out, we saw Derek Poundstone and Louis-Philippe Jean power their way into the 10-man final. Now it's time for 6 more strongmen to go head-to-head. The veteran Zydrunas Savickas is back, hoping finally to secure the title. American Brian Shaw impressed on debut last year and is hotly tipped. Mark Felix of England is the oldest man in the contest, but is always a contender. Martin Wildau of Austria comes in as an unknown rookie. Iceland's Stefan Solvi Pedersen looked good on debut last year, and American Marshall White may be the whipping boy here. But there's always room for surprises. Now, Heat 2 sees the first appearance of Englishman Mark Felix. Remember, last year Felix missed out on a place in the final in the cruelest of ways. A torn bicep in the last event robbed him of a place in the final. To see if he can make up for that disappointment, let's head down to the first event. Here's Zoe.
Yes, Martin, it is the traditional start. It is, of course, the medley, but this time with a bit of a twist from the first heat. Instead of dragging the cannonball and sledge, these racegoers will have to pick up the 230-kilogram anchor and chain, drag it the whole way to this 10-metre line, drop it, run over here, pick up the first of two 105 kegs, take it up to the platform, load it up. Once it's done that, go the whole way back, get the second one, and then load it up as well. And that's it. Job's a good one. It's all finished. So who's my tip? I would go for Brian Shaw. No reason why, just like the look of him.
Thanks very much indeed, Zoe. Well, there is the situation. 75 seconds over 25 metres. And it is going to be absolutely lung-busting, this competition.
In lane
And
one,
here are our first
from the
two
USA,
competitors.
Marshall White.
Marshall White of the United States making his very first World's Strongest Man appearance. Big man. And drawn next to him, another giant figure.
Stefan
Solvi Pedersen, slightly heavier, slightly taller in his second appearance in this contest.
In lane 3, from Austria, Martin Waldauer.
Martin Waldauer from Austria. We haven't had too many Austrians in World's Strongest Man before. And can he do his country proud? Colin, this one is about strength, but it's also about a massive amount of endurance as well.
Well, the start's very difficult. You need body weight, you need power in your legs to drive it, and that's what Martin Waldauer, the young Austrian, is doing very well here. Stefan Solvi Pedersen, though, he's an athlete. He does a lot of throwing, Pedersen. Very explosive, the man in yellow, and he's catching up quickly here.
I'm very impressed with Waldauer. He finishes first, Pedersen in second. And that was very quick as well. This guy can really sprint. Well, if the rest of the competition is going to be like that, well, I can't wait.
Marshall White, the new American, looking a little bit confused there. I think he's just had a baptism of fire against these guys. Well, Waldauer isn't hugely experienced, but what he's realised is every single second counts. Look at this. Gets his hands off straight away.
Well, the course is ready for the second group of athletes. We've met the first three. Let's have a look at all of them now.
Martin Waldauer, Austria. Stefan Solvi Pedersen, Iceland.
Marshall White, USA.
Mark Felix, England.
Žydrūnas Savickas, Lithuania.
Brian Shaw, USA.
There certainly are some massive men there. And this crowd just beginning to appreciate how hard this competition is. And here's a fella, 3 times the World's Strongest Man runner-up. Is this going to be his year? Certainly one of the heaviest at 375 pounds.
Representing the USA, Brian Shaw.
And here is the tallest man in this heat, in his second World's Strongest Man appearance, Brian Shaw of the USA.
From England,
The oldest man in the competition, Mark Felix of England. So experienced, and on his day, he is superb.
Position!
Well, this has got to be a good start for Mark Felix, Colin.
Problem is, body weight really helps in this opening section. It says Brian Shaw's 380 pounds, but the scale must stop at 380. I reckon well over 400. He's so enormous. But look at Savickas. The man has foot speed despite being so thick and chunky built. Unbelievable. Who won that one?
I tell you what, they're going to have to get the judges out to sort that one. Certainly Zavikas finished very quickly indeed. He was gaining on Brian Shaw all the time, and the American has been confirmed in second place behind the Lithuanian. Mark Felix can consider himself unlucky to finish in third. It was a superb time. But what a start for Zydrunas Zavikas, one of the favourites here.
I just can't believe Big Z had such good foot speed to catch Brian Shaw up. Shaw gave it everything. Look at that. Oh, it's so close.
Absolutely superb.
Group 2 is already looking like a shootout between Zavikas, Shaw and Felix. The truck pull will be just as closely fought and is right after the break. Welcome back to Malta for World's Strongest Man 2009. Englishman Mark Felix has made a respectable start and lies in third place. To see if he can improve on that position, let's get down to the second event and your commentators, Colin Bryce and first, Paul Dickinson.
Thanks very much, Martin. Well, this is what lies in wait for all of our strongmen. A massive 20-ton truck. They've got to pull it as fast as they can over the 25-metre course, and there's a time limit of 75 seconds. An awesome contest in prospect. Well, Marshall White of the United States, he had his turn, 56.97 to cover the course, 5 athletes to go, and the next man on the course is Mark Felix of England. A very good start indeed in that first event. He drew the toughest of the 2 heats, but he finished in third place, so already good points. Well, we said in the introduction, Colin, that this is the oldest man in this heat. Do you think that's going to be a disadvantage?
Not really, when considering his grandmother lived to over 100. Mark Felix is barely halfway. He's a young man, really. And he gets better every year. He didn't start strongman until he was 37, 38. So really, he's hardly tainted by strongman. He's hardly been broken down by multiple injuries. He really is still pretty fresh. But what he does, and he has got up against him here, I would say it's the group of death. He's got Brian Shaw, he's got Zavikas, and he's got 2 of the toughest men in the entire contest in his group. So qualifying for Felix will be difficult, but this is a good pull so far. Anything under a minute will be solid for Felix.
He's just beginning to waver a little bit. At 56.97, the leading time so far, but not anymore. Mark Felix goes into the lead, and that's just a shade over 50 seconds. They can see the effort that he put into it. Absolutely incredible, particularly towards the end. The lactic acid was coursing through his veins.
From Austria, Martin Waldauer.
Martin Waldauer of Austria. I'm very impressed with this guy so far. Not only is he strong, he's also very, very athletic.
Ready?
Well, let's take a look at his build. He's got very slim legs, big upper body, so a lot of power is going to be coming from the arms, but my guess is in truck pulling you're going to need a thicker lower body, bigger, stronger legs, more like a prop forward than a second row physique that he is. And, well, he's doing all right. He's got it moving. He's got it underway. It's over the initial inertia. Now he's just got to try and keep the pressure on here.
Well, it's certainly good to see another nation producing a very, very good strongman. I think this fella is the very first Austrian ever to take part in World's Strongest Man, and now he's beginning to pick up pace. He could challenge Mark Felix's time, which was just over 51 seconds.
Well, we've seen some strong Austrians in the past, more in bodybuilding though with Arnold. Martin Waldauer, just 21 years old, and he's going to be a real force in the future, if not now. And this isn't his best event. Wait till we get to the deadlift. That's what he's known for.
50.94, he's gone into the lead, so Mark Felix is now in second place.
It's even more impressive considering he stumbled halfway through the course, put so much torque through his boots. Very impressive.
One of the most experienced men on the world stage in strongman now, Zydrunas Zavikas of Lithuania. And in the past, the Lithuanians, well, they've been so successful at all the heavy events. Discus shot and hammer, weightlifting as well, and now strongman through this fella. So little staccato steps for Zavickas to get this truck moving. I think one or two of the strongmen have been finding this difficult because the lorry is sitting very low on the road. It's got a lot of wheels, therefore there's a lot of friction against this surface.
They are finding it difficult to get underway, but the body weight of Zavickas certainly helps here when you're nearly 180 kilos. I mean, he's an enormous man, nigh on 30 stones in body weight, and most of that is muscle. Attacking the line now, surely this will be the fastest pole.
It certainly will. He's going to stop it well inside 50 seconds. 43.53. And dare I say it, can anybody beat that? Now this guy, you were saying about his strength, he's got to have the heart of a horse as well in order to keep going for so long. But that is a cracking time by Zavickas.
Oh, did you see at the end there, he was just getting some friendly advice from an old World's Strongest Man favourite, Raymond Bergmanis, and he was saying, you did well, Big Z. You did very well.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Well, a bit of a baptism of fire, as we were saying earlier, for Stefan Solvi Pedersen of Iceland. But anybody who is a strongman who comes from Iceland, you've got to respect them when you consider who has gone before. Can this guy, Colin, be the latest in a long, long line of superb Icelandic strongmen?
Well, I mean, that's a huge thing to live up to, isn't it? John Paul Sigmarsson, 4 titles. Magnus Ver Magnusson, 4 titles as well. Both second equal in the all-time list behind Pudzianowski. So that's perhaps asking a little too much. Let's just set our sights on this man getting into the final. That question, yes, I think he can. But his technique isn't brilliant here. You see how the towing rope is pointing up the way. He needs to get his hips a little bit lower and use that body weight of his better.
Yeah, he's not staying very low, but he's driving on towards the finish. Grimacing, baking hot in this sunshine in Malta. Very close to the finish now. He's certainly not going to be in first place, but 50.07. That is good enough for second place, just ahead of Martin Wildauer of Austria. Absolutely exhausted. Asking for the time, I think he'll be pleased.
A Maltese summer isn't exactly the perfect conditions for an Icelander, is it? Look how exhausted he is at the end.
For the United States of America, it's Brian Shaw!
So one more man to go. He's the biggest man in terms of height and body weight. And this could be a huge advantage for Brian Shaw. A cracking time set by Zydrunas Zavickas of Lithuania.
Oh, a slip there, Paul. That wasn't a good start, was it? He's going to have to really try and make it back now. I bet the adrenaline is coursing through his veins. He knows he's made a slip. And there's no room for error in this heat.
He's got the right footwear. He's got the right grip. He's rocking and rolling just a wee bit. Smoothness as he slips again. Smoothness is very important. And now he's got the momentum going. And he's almost beginning to accelerate away.
Well, this is going well now. Where did he get those size 19 rock climbing boots? I can't imagine they're sold in a store. Look at this, he's attacking the line. It's a good time.
Oh, it's very, very good indeed. He's taken victory away from Zavickas. 42.19. And if that is a sign of things to come, Brian Shaw could be a danger to everybody in this year's World's Strongest Man.
Well, despite a couple of stumbles, Brian Shaw is on form.
Brian, you've won the truck pull. That must feel pretty immense.
Yeah, definitely. You know, truck pull's always been a good event for me. So, you know, I was excited to get in my group and came through. So I'm pretty happy.
You've had 2 pretty good events so far. You must be feeling very confident at this stage.
Yeah, you know, the qualifiers are always kind of stressful because there's, you know, only 2 guys going through their final. So, you know, at this point I'm feeling pretty good, but there's still a lot of events left. So I got to keep bringing it.
Brian Shaw is certainly not allowing Zydrunas Zavickas' reputation to affect his performance here in Malta. The Lithuanian would have expected to take all 6 points in the truck pull. Instead, he has to make do with a share of the lead of Group 2. And already it's Zavickas and Shaw that are looking favourites to qualify. Mark Felix will need to start putting together some big performances. Quite a display then so far from Brian Shaw, but I'm not convinced he's going to enjoy the next event quite as much as Englishman Mark Felix might. With all the details, here's Zoe.
Thank you, Martin. I'm down here with 3 times world's strongest man, Bill Kazmaier, a man who in our next event in his day was practically unbeatable. It is, of course, the deadlift, and it still remains one of the classic tests of strength. Kaz, why is that, and what makes a great deadlifter?
Well, Zoe, I think from the beginning of time, man has tested himself through strength by trying to pick up the heaviest objects he possibly could. And in the deadlift, it's so important to get the hips down, keep the knees over the ankles, and keep the back flat, and lift and shove the hips. It's all about technique.
Thank you very much, Kaz. Sounds deadly.
And it's all about superb strength as well. 75 seconds to lift 7 weights if possible. The maximum 363 kilos. Well, Wildau, he achieved 7 repetitions in a time of 36.26, and Solveig Pedersen and Marshall White have also had their goes. So now it's Brian Shaw, co-leader with Zavickas. 11 points each they have. So this is heading towards a nice little showdown between those two men.
Ready?
But being tall, I just wonder if this is going to be a disadvantage. There you have it, the weight is now added.
Down,
and Shaw looks comfortable.
Traditionally, deadlift wasn't a tall man's event, but what Brian overcomes it with is enormously long arms. His arms are halfway down his thighs when he stands up with this, so being so tall doesn't really matter.
He's certainly going very, very well. That was the hardest of them, and he's got one more to go with just over 30 seconds now. But Brian Shaw has completed all of them. That is good. 35.97, and Shaw is on song again. He's our leader at the moment. Just wondering what the time was.
But he really hit every single lift as fast as he could. Normally in the deadlift you compose yourself a little bit longer, but this really forces you out of your comfort zone. But he did very well.
So here is Brian Shaw's biggest rival in every sense of the word, Zavickas. Now then, he's seen what the American achieved.
Ready?
He certainly has to beat that to stay ahead of him. But let's not forget Mark Felix. He's yet to go, and he is a superb deadlifter.
Now Big Z can just about lift anything that's put in front of him in a competition. I mean, almost never has he been beaten in a maximum weight competition. But this is a little interesting because it's for speed here, Paul. Can he pull it as quick as Brian Shaw? Is he as athletic?
I think the answer is yes. He's certainly ahead of Shaw on that one. And he's got one more to go. This is looking very promising for Zavickas, and he gets it. That was superb. He made it look easy, and his time of 31.64 is absolutely magnificent.
And you can see he wasn't counting there either. He was ready for the next one, and I'm sure he could have done the next one after that if there was one. That was so easy, that final lift. Tremendous, really, from Zavickas. So powerful.
Well, Zavickas certainly has raised the bar in terms of what Mark Felix has to do, but this fella might be the oldest man, but his deadlift competitions are always fantastic.
Yeah, I look very easy for you.
2008 was going very great for me till I tore my bicep on the second stone, but I was still trying to finish it anyway because I was that close to getting into the final. So it's just one of those things. But this year I'm feeling great. The training been going pretty good. I feel great. I feel fit. I'm just ready for it. I'm mentally stronger and physically stronger. I'm still as fast, so I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great show. The more older you get, I think the more stronger you get, strong-minded, experience. You know, I think I got it now, so there won't be any mistakes this year. My goal this year is to qualify for the final and to go ahead and win the final. Let the best man win.
Ladies and gentlemen, from England, Mark Felix!
There's certainly no lack of confidence there by Mark Felix. He knows deadlift is a good competition for him. Zavickas may be a little bit worried.
Ready?
I just wonder how that torn bicep is going to be affected by this one, but look at that. So easy, and there's more to come.
There'll be a lot of strongman fans watching this, wondering who's the better deadlifter. This has been a question for a long time, Felix or Zavickas. I just wish there was another couple of barrels to split these two guys. I'm sure Felix will do it, but just how quick?
It's going to be very close. Zavickas 31.64, 1 lift to go. I think he might have done it. That is superb. The clock stops at 31.36. Only a fraction of a second ahead of the Lithuanian. But Mark Felix is still #1 in the world of deadlifting. Oh, yes. Off comes the shirt. We could have a little pose down here as well. I'm sure this is something the crowd will enjoy. That gives you an idea of how big he is, and we've just seen how strong he is.
Wow, congratulations, Mark, but only beating Zavickas by 0.3 of a second. How close is that?
It was very close, you know. I know it's going to be tough this year. I was looking forward to it anyway, so we just speed all the way.
Highlights so far, obviously?
Well, so far, it's not my best. In 2007, I was 27 seconds. In 2008, I was 25. A bit more slow this year, but it's more heavy this year.
Mark Felix maintains his record of never losing a World's Strongest Man deadlift contest and takes 6 points. Zavickas remains as consistent as ever and ensures he finishes in the top 2. That means the Lithuanian regains sole ownership of first place, with Shaw slipping to second. A good win for Felix means he is back to within striking distance of the qualification places. Zydrunas Savickas, the Big Z, showing why he's hotly tipped to take the crown this year. Brian Shaw is also looking impressive. And can Mark Felix separate the pair? Find out after the break. Welcome back to Malta for the second qualifying round of World's Strongest Man 2009. This beautiful Mediterranean island has already hosted some great action so far. The Lithuanian Zydrunas Savickas won the first event of the day. He showed a great deal of experience to win the medley. America's Brian Shaw has already bloodied the nose of the three-time runner-up, beating him in one of his favourite disciplines, the truck pull. And before the break, we saw Englishman Mark Felix win his signature event, the deadlift. Now, can he make the most of the momentum and challenge for a place in the final? It looks a case of 2 from the top 3 to qualify, but anything can still happen, especially in our next event. Over to Colin Bryce and Paul Dickinson for the details.
Thanks very much indeed, Martin. A little bit windy here today, but there is the layout of the course. Those Fingal's fingers have got to be flipped over 180 degrees. They increase in weight from just over 200 kilos to a massive 320 kilograms. That's over 700 pounds. And the time limit, as always, 75 seconds for all of our strongmen. Well, in the first heat, Martin Wildauer found it a little bit hard, as did Mark Felix, traditionally not very good at this event. Wildauer, though, in his very first World's Strongest Man competition, it was really a baptism of fire. There it is, the Austrian, 4 fingers in a time of 56.68. Mark Felix was much faster for the 4 fingers, but he couldn't manage number 5, and he would be very disappointed with that. So our next two, Stefan Solvi Pedersen, in 5th place after 3 events, needs to really get something going here. And Marshall White, who bills himself as the strongest mortician in the world, that's what he does for a living, wants to go well here too.
Position!
So 200 kilograms, what a weight to start with.
Well, we've gone from an event that's good if you're short, the deadlift, to an event that really helps if you're tall. Long-armed as well, even better. And that's exactly what Stefan Solvi Pedersen is, as a 6'5" base with some long arms. But you need the strength. You need the strength to lock your elbows out and drive through with your legs. Ooh, and that's what has just been a problem there for Marshall White. His triceps aren't strong enough to hold the weight.
Well, Stefan Solvi Pedersen, I can tell you, has moved ahead of Mark Felix. Even if he doesn't get this 5th one, his time was 29.22. He's said no to that last one, but Marshall White just keeps on going. Just a little bit more to get this one up. He's got to just lean on it now, and surely it will go. What a good effort. 5 fingers for Marshall White of the USA, 56.67. Great effort after a poor start.
Well, I'm not so sure about his dancing pole, but certainly he can flip fingers. Pedersen, that was disappointing for the taller man who's more experienced. I'm sure he was counting on doing all 5. Perhaps just glancing over and seeing Marshall do it just put him off.
Well done, Marshall White. His best effort so far.
In lane 1, from Lithuania, Zydrunas Zavikas.
Zydrunas Zavikas. Well, experience is going to count in this one, and Zavikas wins it hands down from Brian Shaw in terms of their exposure to this type of competition in the past. But we've seen what a talent Shaw is. Even Stevens so far. Good start by both men, Colin.
Well, Brian Shaw said to me before this event he was desperate to beat Zavikas at this. He wants to be the best in the world at this event. He really likes it, but he knows Zavikas is going to be fast, so a lot on the line here.
I tell you what, it's nip and tuck all the way for these guys. Zavikas has just got the edge at the moment, but Shaw is catching him. Who's going to get it over? Zavikas gets it. Shaw in second place. What a competition. That was superb. Oh, my goodness. Brian Shaw just missed out on maximum points by a whisker. And Zavikas does it again. He really is a good old pro, isn't he?
Well, from first glance, you wouldn't think Zavikas was the athlete he is. He can do any of these events, the quick ones, the slow ones, and this, a very athletic event, has beaten a former basketballer, a true athlete.
Congratulations, Brian. Fantastic, obviously, to get all 5 there, but you did look slightly furious at the end there. Of course, it would have been great to win.
Yeah, you know, this is a real good event for me, and as Zydrunas just said, edged me out there at the end, which does not make me happy, but you know, it's still we're the group leaders right now, so it's frustrating, but at the same time, it's you know, always got to say something for the final. So.
Okay, well, hopefully happier times ahead for you. Congratulations anyway.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Zavikas takes another first place in a blistering time. It's as if he's never been away. Shaw maintains his impressive campaign. He's second. But Felix Woes with the fingers continue. He looks in deep trouble as Zavikas and Shaw move steadily away from the pack. With just 2 events left, Brian Shaw looks destined for a place in the final on just his second appearance.
It feels great to be back at World's Strongest Man. I mean, this is the biggest contest of the year. This is what you work for all year. You know, I came 3rd in my qualifying group last year. It was kind of a tough pill to swallow, and that's kind of been in the back of my mind this whole year. It definitely made me a lot more motivated to go home and train. This year, I think, you know, I've got a lot higher expectations for myself. Just based on what I learned last year in the contest, I think that's going to help me to succeed a lot more this year. I think every competitor comes into this contest wanting to win. You don't get to this level by wanting to come in second place. I know that I have all the tools necessary to win. It's just getting it done. So we'll see where it goes.
Brian Shaw is definitely aiming for the #1 spot here in Malta then. And coming up is an event which should suit his height and athleticism. Here's Zoe and Kaz.
Yes, things are really hotting up down here, and this next event will increase the drama even further. It's the keg toss, and it's one of the most explosive events of all this year. Joining me now is Bill Kazmaier to give us the lowdown. Bill, that looks awfully high to me.
Zoe, it is. 16 feet and 6 inches. This is a really tough event. It's actually brutal. What it's going to take is a lot of power from the legs, the hips, the low back, with a tremendous extension and explosion of the overall body. It's so tough, they've even added lead shot to make it harder. That's an ominous wall and a tough event.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, that is the technique to look out for. What about the man? I'm going to stick with my favourite, Brian Shaw.
Well, Shaw is certainly the tallest, so he may have an advantage. There are the 8 kegs, ranging up to a maximum of 24 kilograms. And the wall, well, in metric, that is 5 meters high. Marshall White, He ran out of time at 75 seconds and threw 6 kegs over the wall.
From England, Mark.
So that is the target for Mark Felix in 3rd place. Of course, he's won an event so far, the deadlift. That was his favourite event. I wonder how he's going to get on with this one. Strong legs, strong back. That's what Bill Caspar said. And those first 2 absolutely flew over.
It's like a cannon going off, isn't it? Now, he can't go at this too quickly. He'll tire. I mean, he'll quite literally hit the wall, as well as his body will tire and hit the wall. And that's, this has already happened. You have to be careful. You have different types of energy systems, and if you attack something as explosive as this too quickly, it's like running 100 meters. You exhaust yourself so fast.
Well, that's certainly what's happened with Mark Felix. And I guess the technicalities have gone wrong here. The technique is going now. The lactic acid is in his body, and he says no more. Just short of the time limit there, but 4 kegs. He'll be very, very disappointed with that performance.
Well, often big deadlifters are very good at this, and Felix, we've already proven earlier in the show, is as good as anybody. So, yeah, I think he will be very disappointed.
With 4 kegs, Mark Felix.
Next up, Martin Wildauer of Austria. Look at those arms. So he's got a couple of coconuts bolted onto his shoulders there too. Very big in the upper body, quite slim in the legs, but look at the way he's popped those 2 over. Absolutely flew over. I just wonder if, like Mark Felix, he's pacing himself badly though.
Well, that was a bit unlucky, wasn't it? He managed to sit it on the wall and it just went the wrong way. Now he's changed tactic here. He was grabbing by the handles on the top. Now he's grabbing it on the side, swinging it deeper between his legs.
Well, this certainly is a difficult event to train for, unless you've got exactly the right equipment in your backyard. But Wildauer there's now beginning to struggle. He's completed 6 barrels, but these last 2 are proving very hard indeed.
But he's swapping from handles to the side again. He's not sure what he wants to do here. Lots of doubt in his mind. He's gone ahead of Felix, but I'm sure he's thinking that Shaw and Zabikis will be doing all 8.
Well, he certainly began to tire. Wasn't extending with the legs at all. And that was a sign of both poor technique and tiredness.
Stefan Solvi Pedersen.
Stefan Solvi Pedersen now of Iceland in 4th place after 4 events.
Paulie, he spent all summer in Scotland doing the Highland Games, where you throw the 56-pound weight for height. It's so similar here. I'm expecting a really big result out of Stefan Solvi Pedersen.
Well, he's got to go more than 6, that one. Nearly went out of the course altogether. My goodness. Now then, this is looking good for the Icelander. He goes into the lead. Big cheer from the crowd. Oh, that was wonderful. That was a display of pure athleticism, good technique, and nerves of steel. That was brilliant by Stefan Solvi Pedersen, and he is the leader by far.
But if you look at the early barrels, he didn't even swing it under his legs, he just exploded upwards. And then as he went on, he took his time, got a really long pull, and over it went.
Iceland has a rich tradition of World's Strongest Man champs in the past, and that was a pretty spectacular performance.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. I really needed to do well because I've not been happy with my performance so far. So I'm happy I could at least show that I kind of deserve to be here. So I'm happy.
And you've been doing a lot of extracurricular training. You've been up in Scotland doing the Highland Games. Must have come in handy for this.
Oh, of course. Come to think about it, if I would have put my kilt on, I'd probably gone sub 20. So that's something to think about for the future.
From the United States of America, it's Big Brian Shaw!
Well, the pre-event favourite, Brian Shaw, certainly has got a big challenge on his hands here. That time by Stefan, 23.53.
Ready? Well, there's a famous American basketball coach once said, you can't coach height, and he's got lots of it.
Now, he's certainly giving these barrels plenty of air. Not taking any rest. Now then, this is crucial. No, he's blown that one, and that could cost him dearly. The clock is ticking away, and he's not going to beat the time set by the Icelander. It's going to be a good time if he can get this one over, and he does. But that displayed a lack of temperament more than anything else. He just lost it on barrel number 7, and that cost him dearly. 29.41, a good time, but not good enough for first place.
But doing all the barrels has now put the pressure on Savickas.
Well, Savickas has his immense upper body. I've just noticed, actually, he's got a bandage on his lower calf muscle of the left leg. I don't think that's going to affect him too much here. But still, Stefan Solvi Pedersen's time, 23.53, is the time to beat. And that is a major surprise.
Well, he certainly had the height. He had the height by about 10 feet, but he just didn't get the angle right, did he? Well, here we go. How much does it cost him? He's now trying to play catch-up here. Stefan Solvi watching. He would love to win this event. Even if he doesn't go to the final, it would be a real scalp to beat Savickas and Shaw, and I think he has done.
Well, I bet he wished he'd started the way he finished. There's your winner. A nice win there for Iceland. Zydrunas Savickas, he finishes in 3rd place.
Congratulations to Stefan Solvi Pedersen as the Icelander finally makes an impression here in Malta. Mark Felix will be bitterly disappointed with his performance, however. Savickas and Shaw once again in the top 3. He may have the best time, but it's Savickas and Shaw who take the 2 qualification places with an event to spare. Mark Felix not only has the consolation prize of 3rd place to aim for. Congratulations to the Big Z and the young American on a tremendous performance. After the break, find out which of them will top the group. The Atlas Stones are next. Welcome back to sunny Malta for the culmination of round 2 of qualifying for World's Strongest Man 2009. Zydrunas Savickas and Brian Shaw have already qualified. Now the Atlas Stones will decide who claims top spot. Back to Colin Bryce and Paul Dickinson.
Thanks, Martin. Well, there are the rules for the Atlas Stones, a traditional end to a World's Strongest Man contest, the biggest of the stones, weighing in at a massive 160 kilos. Well, these guys have had their turn already. Martin Wildauer finding life a little bit difficult in terms of technique, certainly very, very strong indeed. And he finished with 4 stones in a time of 30.90. As far as Marshall White was concerned, the strongest mortician in the world, he went a little better. And certainly is looking better and better all the time. 5 stones, 37.67. He is our current leader.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Iceland, Stefan Solvi Pedersen.
Well, coming off the back of that wonderful victory in the last event, Stefan Solvi Pedersen, 3rd place after 5 events, unfortunately has no chance of qualifying, and that is the case for Mark Felix as well. So this is for pride.
On his day, Felix can be the best in the world at stones. Let's see what kind of performance these two put in. They'll be going for it. Oh, Felix has gone straight over the back. He does blow hot and cold, doesn't he, Paul?
He certainly does, Colin. There's no doubt about his talent. But you really have to engage your brain for competitions like this. Meanwhile, Iceland are streaking away here. Stefan Solvi Pedersen, maybe this will not be his year, but who knows what he could do in the future. Look at that. 5 stones. He made it look easy. It's a very good time as well, 30.43. Mark Felix, after a slow start, is now beginning to motor. But at what cost? Now, come on, Mark, finish it off. That was good in the end by Mark Felix, but he will regret that first stone. Oh, blast. That's what he's saying. Not to be his year. That is superb, though. 30.43, the leader for the time being. Mark Felix currently in 3rd place. That is the end of his World's Strongest Man this year.
And finishing off with impressive power, Pedersen.
Mark, great event for you. Slightly went a bit crazy on the first one, though.
Yeah, because it got up so easy. You just slipped out my hand, so just went over. So I had to end up lifting 6 stone, you know. But I was happy to finish it.
Unfortunately, as we both know, it's not enough to see you through to the final this year. So will we perhaps see you next year?
Well, maybe, I still feel fit, I still feel strong, Yeah, sure. I'll be back next year.
Well done in this year. Thanks very much, Mark.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the United States
Well, this
of America,
is the final heat, a real showdown between two men who are already through to the final. But I just wonder how much Brian Shaw will want to beat the man next to him.
Zydrunas Savickas.
It would be great for one of them to go through as the winner of this heat. And it all depends on this event.
You know, Paul, I think Brian Shaw and Savickas will be imagining this is the final. This is like a practice run-through for these two guys. And I wouldn't be surprised if they were 1 and 2 in the final as well, and this was the showdown at the end there.
Well, it's neck and neck so far. Zydrunas Savickas just pops that ball up onto his mighty chest. Brian Shaw has got the advantage of height, and Savickas all of a sudden is in the lead. This massive stone, 352 pounds altogether, and Savickas gets it. I am the man, he says. He's beaten Brian Shaw and he wins this heat. That was superb, 28.20. I'll tell you what, we've got two great athletes here through to the final.
To do this set of stones in under 30 seconds is a tremendous feat, especially considering you have to run in to the platform with the lighter stones. Both of these guys put in a huge performance there.
That was great. What a way to finish.
Savickas takes another first place, edging out his young rival by just under a second. Stefan Solvi Pettersson takes a creditable third place, but Mark Felix's competition finishes on a low. The Lithuanian secures the bragging rights by topping Heat 2, but don't write off the possibility of those positions being reversed in the final. Brian Shaw has definitely lived up to expectations. Disappointment then for Mark Felix as he returns home empty-handed, but at least he's in one piece. No great surprise, though, as Zydrunas Savickas and Brian Shaw book their places in the final. The big American must be viewed as one of the brightest prospects this sport has had in many, many years. Next up, it's round 3, and stand by as 5 times world champion Mariusz Pudzianowski joins the fray. Until then, from Malta, goodbye.
If you'd like the chance to win a World's Strongest Man goodie bag, go to bravo.co.uk. After the break here on the telly, though, it's brand new McIntyre's Crime Capitals.
Hello and welcome once again to Malta for Heat 3 of World's Strongest Man 2009. So far, 4 athletes have made it through to the final, but each one of them knows that if they're to walk off with the ultimate prize in strength athletics, they've got to get past this guy. Immense strength, incredible athleticism and 5 World's Strongest Man titles. It's a daunting prospect to face, but 5 men must take on this mighty pole if they wish to progress into the final of World's Strongest Man 2009. For the last decade, the Dominator has been amongst the strongest men on the planet. Can anyone stop Mariusz Pudzianowski? Yes, it's time for Mariusz Pudzianowski, the man known as the Dominator, to take to the stage here in Malta. To see if anyone can stop him in the first event, let's head over to Zoe at the medley.
Yes, Martin, the 5 times world champ does look pretty relaxed right now, but one man charged with the task of stopping the pole is Englishman Darren Sadler. Now, Darren last year took a year out from World's Strongest Man, but now he's back and looking his best, I might add. Darren, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. First 2 events are quite bodyweight events, so I need to sort of just use damage limitation on those, because obviously we've got Phil Pfister and Mariusz in the group. We've both won it before, both big heavy guys. Looking forward to the dumbbell and the deadlift, where the sort of strength-wise comes into it more, a bit more power events, and then take it from there, really.
So feeling confident overall?
Yeah, I feel okay, I feel good. I've trained hard this year. Obviously had a year out last year from World's Strongest Man, so I'm sort of well rested and feeling good.
What did you learn from the last World's Strongest Man that you did? What did you take away with you to help you prepare for this one?
I learned just not to let things get to your head, really. Obviously, it's a big thing. A lot of nerves get involved and whatnot. This year I feel a lot more relaxed, sleeping better, eating better. So yeah, everything feels good.
The first event, the medley, the cannonballs ready and waiting, and our strongmen have got to cover a 20-metre course as fast as possible. The cannonball and the keg must be carried 10 metres and then placed on the sledge, which is dragged all the way down the course. Time limit 75 seconds. Well, first up was Alexander Khrushchev of Russia. Inexperienced as far as this level of competition is concerned. He's up against Jimmy Lorries of Belgium. Big man, 6'4", 331 pounds.
In lane 3, from Serbia.
And Ervin Katona of Serbia. First World's Strongest Man appearance. Massive weight. He's the biggest fella in this first heat.
Ready?
Superb conditions, Colin, for this first event as we get underway.
Well, Katona, it might be his first attempt at World's Strongest Man, but he's doing strongman for years now. Incredibly powerful man. But it's Khrushchev who's making the running here. Former powerlifting champion of Europe in the red there, the Russian. He's more used to simple static movements than this kind of running, but he's doing very well at it.
Well, Ervin Katona there, just getting ahead of everybody. Beginning to slow up. He's not really leaning back and using his long arms, the long levers. On the far side, Khrushchev is just beginning to fade a little bit. And this is where it gets very, very hard indeed. There's our first winner. Just over 44 seconds. Good time there. And who's going to get second? Well, it's just, I think, Jimmy Lorries in the green. There's Ervin Katona's time, 44.12. He's the leader. Another three big men to come, of course, in this heat. Jimmy Lorries there, 49.53, just ahead of the Russian, Alexander Khrushchev. Absolutely exhausted at the end of that one.
Well, perhaps Khrushchev's fitness wasn't quite good enough. Sprinter down the course has a lot of athleticism, but it was Katona who finished off strong.
In lane 1, representing the United Kingdom, Darren Sadler.
Darren Sadler of England, gritty Yorkshireman. Certainly what he lacks for in sheer size, he makes up for with determination.
Phil Pfister.
The oldest man here, former World's Strongest Man back in 2006. Very, very tall, very strong.
The current World's Strongest Man from Poland, Mariusz Pudzianowski.
Not just the current World's Strongest Man, but he's won more World's Strongest Men titles in history than anybody else.
Behind the line, please.
This is a tough one for Sadler.
Ready?
Away we go, a bit of sprinting to start with. And what about this fella, Colin?
Well, he's got muscles in places most people don't even have places. He's just so powerful, Pudzianowski. Coming back off a biceps injury. His fitness in a little bit of doubt here, but at the moment he's looking in great shape. Now Sadler might struggle. He doesn't have the body weight of the other two. Look at Big Phil powering away.
Well, it was even Steven at the point where they had to start dragging the machinery down the course. And Phil Pfister, I think he could make more use of his long arms there, but he's over the line first, just ahead of Mariusz. It's very close for all three. Darren Sadler, as Colin was saying, just struggling a wee bit at the end. Finishes it off. Well done, Darren Sadler. And Phil Pfister, the winner there, 35.90.
There's so much history between these two. World's Strongest Man 2006. Mariusz lost the title to Phil in the last event, the Stones. And these two guys haven't really spoken much since, I can tell you that. Darren Sadler, though, always a fighter. Despite the lack of body weight, he really pushed it as hard as you possibly could. But Pfister takes the first win.
Well, one surprising thing is that Pudzianowski didn't win the opening event, but the unsurprising fact is that he finished in the top two. Congratulations to Phil Pfister, but Darren Sadler has to settle for fourth. As the lightest man in the contest, things are unlikely to improve for the Englishman in the next event. Coming up after the break, it's the truck pull. Welcome back to Malta for Group 3 of World's Strongest Man 2009. This haven for winter sun seekers is about to be shaken to its foundations by World's Strongest Man Classic. With all the details, here's Colin Bryce, and first, Paul Dickinson.
Thanks, Martin. That's what lies in wait for all of our strongmen, 20 tons in total. It's got to be pulled down the course over 25 metres, and the maximum time limit allowed, 75 seconds. Always a tough one, and Jimmy Laurie's got us underway. 70.91. The man from Belgium finished the course. Well, Darren Sadler's up next, full of muscles, full of determination, but once again, this could be a disadvantage for him in terms of his sheer body weight. Well, he gets it underway slowly. Look at his arms. So powerful. I remember, Colin, this fella competing in an under 90 kilogram competition some years ago. He's bulked up a bit since then, hasn't he?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's won categories all the way up. He's won the British under 105 kilogram class on at least 2 occasions. But now he's bulked up to 120 kilograms. A lot of muscle on quite a small frame. Well, a small frame compared to the other guys like Pfister, that is. Now, if this was an old contest, Paul, they wouldn't have the rope in front of them. It wasn't a real test of strength back in the 80s. It would have just been body weight, wouldn't it? Back when Kazmaier and Jeff Capes used to compete, you were really hindered if you were small, but at least Darren has a chance here to get his arms into it.
Well, it looks as though he's going to be over the minute mark. I wonder if he can beat Jimmy Laurie's time of 70.91 seconds. He really is struggling now. Every last ounce of energy, there it goes. And 62.31 for Darren Sadler. Boy, that took a lot out of him. He can't wait to get out of that harness now, my goodness.
Paul, I think just over a minute is an excellent time for Sadler. He's gone ahead of Loray's, a much bigger man, and that's all he could have asked for.
Erwin Katona there, the Serbian striding towards this huge truck, 20 tons in total. Beautiful conditions down on the harbour side here today.
Are you ready? Ready?
So Darren Sadler, he has the best time at the moment, 62.31. And Katona, although a novice, if you like, at this standard of strongman competition, got away to a good start in the first event. He finished in 3rd place.
It'll be interesting to see how well he does here. He looked reasonably fit in the first event, but he does carry so much muscle. A lot of that muscle you just think isn't really necessary for a strongman. All the years of powerlifting, he has a huge chest. I don't think you need it in something like truck pulling. So is he going to blow a gasket halfway down here?
Tell you what, Colin, he's going pretty well here. He's rocking and rolling just a little bit. It's not smooth, it's not pretty, but it's being effective. Gets rid of the rope and just hauls it over the line. That is quick. Oh, that's by far and away the fastest time we've seen so far. 49.22. That was deceptively quick. Well done.
Well, he just about used all the energy up in his arms, so he threw away the rope. He knew he had the momentum of the truck. Finished off the last few meters.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Russia, Alexander...
The big Russian getting ready, Alexander Khrushchev. Disappointing start for his World's Strongest Man campaign after that first event. But Erwin Katona, he set a brilliant time, last man down the course. Dipped under 50 seconds. And this is not a fast getaway by the Russian.
Well, you know, it doesn't look very fast, but actually look at his body position. He's much lower than the other guys. Oh, but he's wobbling from side to side. From the side angle, it looked very good, but in actual fact, Paul, I think you're right. This isn't going to be a very good pull at all. He doesn't look experienced here.
Well, this fella, another guy who's over 20 stone in body weight, not making best use of that body weight. Oh, he's gone down. Now, can he recover from that? The guys, of course, have got the rope in front of them to pull on, and I don't think he's using that very effectively at all.
Now, this is a very difficult pull. And it's interesting when you see someone who isn't very experienced, you realise just how difficult it is. He's got strong legs, you know. He's been European powerlifting champion. Probably stronger legs than anyone else in this heat, but not using them effectively.
Dear me. Exhaustion sets in. Bring on the oxygen. Just over 70 seconds there. 70.06. And he's down in third place. Still some very good guys to come.
Well, he went down halfway, and that just slowed him up so much he had to start getting the truck rolling again. Tough pull for Khrushchev.
The United States of America, Phil Pfister!
Well, Phil Pfister, looking as young and as sprightly as ever. Approaching his 40th year now, but still an incredibly strong guy. Now, this is going to be interesting. It was first blood to Pfister ahead of Pudzianowski in the first event. Can the American do it again?
Well, I think Pfister would probably consider himself to be the world's best truck puller. He might not say it, he's a modest guy, Phil, but he's won enough truck pulls over Marius and over the rest of the world that you'd have to say Phil stands a very good chance of winning this. He's going to put in a huge time, and it'll be a benchmark time for Marius.
Well, it's still Katona who leads at 49.22, but Pfister is just accelerating away here. Big strides, great use of the arms, and that is a huge time. Wow, that was superb by Phil Pfister, himself a world's strongest man in the past, and 40.91. I just wonder if Pudzianowski can even beat that.
You know, he just loves competition, Phil. It took him over a decade to get to the World's Strongest Man final and then onto the podium, but he's still here, still fighting.
Well, the history books will show that this fella is the greatest of all time. 5 times World's Strongest Man. Just wonder if that first event was a little blip. And this time down the course, he's going to blow everybody away. We'll have to wait and see. But Mr. Muscles gets underway. It's not as fast as Phil Pfister.
And do you think he wants it? Listen to him screaming out every step.
This guy's just like a giant bodybuilder, my goodness. It's taken a lot of years to develop those muscles, not just in the arms, but the back and the leg as well. I don't think, Colin, though, it's going to be as fast as Phil Pfister.
Well, not for lack of trying. Listen to him. Desperate to get this over the line and beat Pfister. He's not happy he's been beaten already. There's so much between these two guys.
Well, it's taken him a long time to get into his stride, but he does it eventually. But it's another second place for this great Polish strongman. 45.40, and he'll finish in second place for the second time.
2 out of 2 for the 2006 champion then, but once again Pudzianowski finishes in the top 2. Newcomer Erwin Katona is looking impressive, but it's another 4th place for Darren Sadler. That all means the Englishman stays in 4th position. Let's hope he's limited the damage enough from the opening 2 events. Pfister looks in control at the top at the moment, just in front of Pudzianowski. This pair have quite a bit of previous in World's Strongest Man competitions. They were involved in one of the all-time great finals back in 2006, when an incredible comeback from the Americans secured the title. But he knows better than anyone that the Dominator's record in this contest puts him on another plane. So far, it's the American in control. Now the question is, can any of these men separate the 2 legends? They certainly have the best possible chance in our next event. It's one in which Pfister has a terrible track record. Paul Dickinson and Colin Bryce.
Thanks, Martin. Well, Phil Pfister's terrible record continues, unfortunately. Only 4 repetitions, the bottom of the pile at the moment, but it's being led by the Russian, Khrushchev.
From Serbia, it's Erwin Katona.
Erwin Katona now. He's enjoying himself here in Malta. Lying in 3rd place too, and that is a good performance.
Give me a load.
So,
ready?
The deadlift.
Lift.
A simple performance, but once you've lifted it 7 times, you really are exhausted. The weight added after each lift, so this makes it doubly difficult.
Well, not only that, Paul, it's the way this machine swings in at you as well. It's sort of like a giant mousetrap. It's not like training on a normal bar in the gym. And that's strongman. You come to competitions, you have to deal with the conditions. This is Katona's first ever go at this machine. He's doing well, though. Up comes number 6. Jacks it up. That's a good lift.
One more to go, and the clock's ticking away. 45.97 to beat if he can do this one. Yes, he gets it up. He's in the lead. So Katona continues to perform well here in Malta. 43.03 the time.
Well, great power there from Katona. He's a former powerlifting champion. You'd expect him to do well, and he does.
Ladies and gentlemen, current world's strongest man and 5 times world's
He looks so fit, doesn't he? Mariusz Pudzianowski. Getting the lifting straps ready. That helps with the grip. And certainly in these very, very hot conditions, the guys are sweating a lot, so the grip is so important.
You know, he had some major surgery back in April, Paul, and you just wonder how fit he is. He hasn't done any competitions except a couple of local ones in Poland, and you know what? He was even beaten by a Polish guy who's never been the world's strongest man before. So confidence is a little bit down. He's got himself into some kind of shape. He's put the body weight back on, but I'm sure being beaten by Pfister 2 out of 2 has really given the champion a big body blow. He needs to do well here.
Well, the job for him is to get through to the final, of course. Then he can concentrate on regaining the title he once won. Not once, but 5 times, of course, and that is a cracking time by Pudzianowski. 36.50. He's in the lead by a long way.
Well, if his fitness is in just a little bit of doubt, his absolute power certainly isn't.
Mariusz, congratulations. Up until now in the events, you've been quite comfortable, but was this always going to be your moment to go out there and shine?
Yes, this is events is deadlift is very good for me. Next events also. I want only in final. Later I watch.
You're feeling very confident at the moment then?
Yes, I'm very happy now. Slowly, and final.
Okay, thanks very much. Well done.
Thank you. Polska Górą.
Well, Darren Sadler is the last to go, and he said earlier on that he was looking forward to the power events, so this could be his big chance.
It's not a part-time sport. You can't just do it when you feel like it. You're either in it or you're not in it. Obviously, it's a very tough group, but I've trained hard, so I'm just going to do. I know what I can do. I'm going to put it down and then see what they do. You know. My goal this year really is to get to the final. Every time I've done World's Strongest Man, I've come fairly close, but I have no injuries really. I'm feeling the best condition I've ever felt, a bit stronger, a little bit heavier, so yeah, this year I ain't got any excuses.
Ladies and gentlemen, from England, Darren Sadler!
Come on now, Darren, you need this one. He's down in 4th place. Only 2 will qualify for World's Strongest Man finals. So this has got to be a big, big event for the Yorkshireman.
Darren, are you ready? Give me a nod. Lift!
Well, Sadler can deadlift, Paul. This is one of the exercises he likes most. Very strong back.
He's ideally suited to this event. So far, this is marginally quicker than Mariusz Pudzianowski, and Mariusz standing there. Now, I wonder if he's cheering Darren on to make sure Darren beats Phil Pfister, or whether he's worried that his lead is going to be bettered by this man.
Well, he's cheering on Darren. I don't think he's going to do it, or perhaps he doesn't realise how quick this is.
That is fantastic. 35.19. Darren Sadler being congratulated by the world's strongest man, and Pudzianowski is beaten once more.
Look at the smile on Darren's face.
55.
This is massive bragging rights, Paul. To win the powerlifting event amongst the strongmen. Huge for Darren.
Congratulations, Darren. You did say earlier on that you were looking forward to these power events, and we can certainly see why now. How does it feel?
It feels good, yeah. I've been working very hard on my deadlift. It's gone up a lot, so it's nice. I respect these guys a lot, but it's nice to beat him, you know, and where I want to be.
How does it feel beating people like Pudzianowski?
It's amazing, yeah, good feeling. Good feeling. I need to keep doing it.
We were expecting Sadler to do well here, but to eclipse what is a decent time from Pudzianowski is truly world class. Pfister, predictably in an event which he hates, is back in 6th. That win has done the Englishman's chances of qualifying no harm at all. He's tied for 3rd, just a point behind the 2006 champion. Despite not claiming a single victory so far, Pudzianowski moves into top spot. There's been fantastic action so far in Malta, with Phil Pfister looking in top form. To see if Darren Sadler can maintain his winning streak, join us after the break. Welcome back to Malta for the 3rd round of qualifying for World's Strongest Man 2009. We've had some great action up to this point, with Phil Pfister and Mariusz Pudzianowski providing most of the fireworks. It was the American who took the opening event, the medley, a discipline that Pudzianowski is usually unbeatable in. Pfister continued his fine form to win the truck bull in the incredibly fast time of 40.9 seconds. An ongoing injury meant the 2006 champion was rock bottom in the deadlift. Pudzianowski looked to have won it before the Englishman Darren Sadler pulled out the performance of his career to beat the 5-time champion into 2nd. All that means the Englishman is within range of the 2 qualifying places, tied for 3rd with newcomer Erwin Katona, and just a point behind Phil Pfister. It's time to see if he can maintain that form. Your commentators, Colin Bryce, but first, Paul Dickinson.
Thanks very much indeed, Martin. The course looking absolutely superb on the harbour side for this car walk competition. 75 seconds the time limit. The course, as always, 25 metres. The car weighing a massive 431 kilograms. That's over 900 pounds.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Serbia,
Erwin Katona, the first man up, tied for 3rd place with Darren Sadler after 3 events. Very close between those two. I guess both of those men will be trying to catch Phil Pfister and Mariusz Pudzianowski. Well, strength is one thing here, Colin, but balance is so important.
He had no problem in the pickup, plenty of power in the legs, but you're right, this car, very difficult to hold on to. You can see the back wheels nearly touch the ground there, and if the rubber hits the concrete surface this is on, then it will stop dead. He's hanging on though, good time, Paul.
Superb time in the end. That was very good indeed, 28.28. And this could be a big, big moment for Erwin Katona.
Well, he needed a good time here. We know that Pudzianowski and Pfister are both good at this event from previous years. Under 30 seconds, pretty solid.
Alexander Khrushchev now, 6'1", 313 pounds. That is a big, big weight. Well, he shouldn't find the weight a problem, but like so many others, he's found the balance a problem until he actually gets moving. And now the Russian is beginning to move well.
Look at this, he's virtually jogging with it. Very impressive from Khrushchev, although the balance went there. I think he could do with a steering wheel, Paul.
Well, he's getting in towards the finish. In the end, it's a very good time indeed. He's taken over 3 seconds off the time set by Erwin Katona. 25.06, my goodness.
And it could have been even faster, Paul. He went down about the 15-metre mark, but he certainly got up and pushed it over the line quickly.
Well, the crowd have certainly enjoyed this event so far down by the harbour side. The weather is absolutely glorious. But we always knew this was potentially a brutal event, possibly a dangerous one too. Jimmy Laurie's legs gave away halfway down the course. He was the only man who couldn't complete it. 5 meters 80, his distance.
Ladies and gentlemen, from England,
a real moment now for Darren Sadler. Looking very serious about this indeed. Equal 3rd place at the moment. If he could do well here, he could move up the leaderboard again, and who knows, even challenge for 2nd place. So Sadler gets away. Now, is his lack of height a disadvantage here, Colin?
No, it shouldn't be at all, because he's actually changed the length of the straps. Look, he's got a good 8-10 inches of clearance. Oh, it's the balance that's the problem. It's not height at all.
Well, we've already seen a superb time, 25.06 by Alexander Khrushchev. And he's going to finish outside of that, and he's all over the shot, my goodness. Almost wobbling from one side of the course to the other.
Come on, Darren, you've just got to get it up and then start walking. He's trying to pick up and go at the same time. He's so keen to do well here.
A little bit over-anxious, you'd suspect. Just a couple of meters short. Oh, goodness me. And that is a slow time, 47.41. And Darren will be very disappointed. Time is running out for the Yorkshireman.
Well, Paul, you just wonder how much did he give in the deadlift to win that event. Big opportunity missed here.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 5 times world's strongest man from Poland, Mariusz Pudzianowski.
Mariusz Pudzianowski gets ready. And amazingly, the great Polishman is yet to win an event in this year's World's Strongest Man. Here we go. The fastest time is still by Alexander Khrushchev of Russia, 25.06. This fella seems to have got it together. He's striding away here, Colin.
Oh, he's gone through the gears quickly, and now we're in 5th gear. Pudzianowski's flying over the line now. This will be the lead time by some margin.
That was a clean run, absolutely superb, 20.72. That is a massive chunk of time to take off the lead. Only Phil Pfister to go.
Well, dobra, he's happy. You can hear it in Polish. He's pleased with his performance. He thinks he's put the pressure on Pfister now, and he has done with that. That's a good time.
Ladies and gentlemen, the United States of America, Phil Pfister.
Well, Phil Pfister's huge stature there, towering over this tiny little car.
Ready?
This is going to be interesting. Pudzianowski gave us a fantastic performance just a few moments ago, 20.72, and Phil Pfister is going well as well.
I mean, let's not forget, this is 950 pounds, 70 stone. Look at the pressure on Pfister's face there. This is agony. He's charging well, though.
Oh, it's going to be close. Pudzianowski, I think, knows his time has beaten. It is 20.30. The great Pole is beaten once more, and that was superb by Phil Pfister.
What a tough man Pfister is. Charging for the line. Wasn't going to give up.
Phil, congratulations. Leading there. Fantastic work. How does it feel?
Well, you know, it's wonderful. Put a little chink in Mariusz's armor. You know, he's such a tremendous warrior, and it's always great to compete with him and all the other guys. You know, and really nice when you can have a good result.
So the usual order is resumed then, as Pfister and Pudzianowski occupy the top 2 places. That plucky performance from Sadler is only good enough for 5th. Pudzianowski maintains his lead at the top of the table, just. Sadler has it all to do now, but Pfister, with 2 of his favourite events to come, looks odds-on for a final berth.
You know, after retiring last year, it was really great. I enjoyed retirement for about a month or 2, and then some invitations came in to do some strongman. So it's a lot of fun, actually. I'm having more fun now than I did for the last decade or more. So it's really a part of who I am and what I do, and I'm enjoying it now, probably more than I ever have. World's Strongest Man is a huge challenge. Just to make it into the finals. You know, people don't realize that it's actually 2 contests. It's the qualifiers and then the finals. I've always known that I'm one of the best, but to be the guy that ends up on the top of the podium, that's really a special feat to pull off. And it might happen again. You never know.
Well, as expected, the class of Pfister and Pudzianowski is really shining through, but Darren Sadler has put in a very plucky performance. The next event is wonderfully simple but brutally tough. Grab hold of 15 stones in one hand and press it above your shoulder as many times as you can. It's the dumbbell press.
Martin, absolutely right. This can be a brutal event. You're allowed to lift the dumbbell up to your chest with 2 hands, but then it's 1 hand only over the head. As many repetitions as you can in 75 seconds. A massive 95 kilos the weight. Well, Jimmy Lorries of Belgium, his misery continued. No repetitions at all for the Belgian strongman. It was a different story altogether for Alexander Khrushchev of Russia. He looked quite comfortable for the first few repetitions and finished off with 6 in total. Well, the organisers have produced a fantastic pairing here. Phil Pfister up against Mariusz Pudzianowski. And as Colin Bryce was saying earlier, these two have got so much history. And there's Big Phil's mum. She's come all the way from the United States to watch. Pudzianowski, the overall leader, despite the fact he hasn't won an event,
Take position!
he's so consistent. Here we go. Now this, Colin, I think is a fascinating confrontation.
You know, it's not so much the weight, it's the technique. They're so awkward, these implements. And Pudzianowski, I've seen him try this before. He's not comfortable, but look at Big Phil. No problem at all. He's trained this event. It's so awkward. It's 95 kilos. Actually, isn't that heavy for these men? It's just dealing with the size of this implement.
Well, it's around about 15 stone with 1 hand. And Phil Pfister, he's got to lift it further than everybody else. Pudzianowski, a little bit shorter levers. I thought the Polish man would have done better. But it's Phil Pfister who's top of the pile at the moment. And Pudzianowski is struggling here, Colin.
He's just not getting the technique right. Look at Pfister, jerks it with the legs. Oh, Mariusz is starting to get it now. It's too little, too late. He's not going to win this. He's got to try and get another rep up. He's got just about enough time.
Well, I bet Phil's mum is impressed with what her son has done, but Pudzianowski will not get that extra repetition. And there goes the whistle for the end of time. Phil Pfister finishes on 6, Mariusz Pudzianowski on a poor 3 repetitions. Great performance by the American once more.
Well, Big Phil's done well there, and Mariusz's 3, I have to say, gives Darren Sadler a good chance of taking first or second here. I think he might struggle to beat Phil's total, but yeah, Mariusz just not that good at this at all. He's got the power, just not the technique.
Good performance by Phil Pfister.
Darren Sadler!
Well, if Darren Sadler's got any hope of qualifying for the final, it's got to happen now. He's up against Erwin Katona of Serbia. He's lying well placed in 3rd. So Phil Pfister, he's tied for first place at the moment, along with Alexander Khrushchev on 6 repetitions. Now, I reckon this event is technically probably one of the most difficult in strongman, Colin.
Well, the funny thing is, Paul, it's actually a very old event. It's what they used to do in the 19th century in circuses. But I can tell you what, the weights back then were about half of what this is. It's good to see this old event in, and it is very difficult. There's a real trick to it. You have to use your legs. It's not just about arms and shoulders.
Well, I reckon the weight of this dumbbell is around about the same as a half-full refrigerator. And these guys are lifting it up with 1 hand. Not necessarily the strength that's a problem, they've got that, but the balance, well, dare I say, it's almost delicate.
Well, it's good for both of them. They're both fighting away here. Sadler just ahead. He could reel in Pfister here. He's got just about enough time. He's got to hit it perfect each time. Oh, no. No, I don't think he locked out. The elbow must go to a straight position.
Well, the spectators certainly enjoying these head-to-head confrontations in strongman, and both of these fellas are finding 1 more repetition, an impossible task. The whistle has gone. Darren Sadler will finish in 3rd place on 4 repetitions, and Erwin Katona, he goes 1 less, finishes on 3. I think Darren Sadler's chances of going through to the final now are absolutely minuscule.
Well, I think Sadler can be pleased with this. Look at the size of the handle, something we didn't even mention, Paul. It's as thick as a Coke can, and Sadler dealt with it very well.
Oh, wow, Darren, you came second in that event. You must be absolutely thrilled.
Yeah, I'm pleased, yeah. I was hoping for around 5, to be honest, but it's hot. You know, we've done a few days competing, legs are a bit sore, but yeah, I'm happy with that. That's the best I could do, so that's it.
You've beaten Marius now in 2 events. I mean, that's pretty incredible for a guy of your size. You must be delighted.
Yeah, it feels good, yeah, definitely. So just trying to keep in there, keep battling on, you know.
Well, you certainly are, and we're very proud of you, so keep it up. Well done.
Thanks very much, cheers.
Thank you.
Another victory for Phil Pfister means that he is guaranteed a final place. He certainly deserved it. With just 1 event remaining, Sadler's very impressive performance has given him a lifeline. The Englishman needs to pull off the performance of his life in the last test of strength and hope that Pudzianowski slips up somehow. Congratulations to Phil Pfister. Can Sadler upset the odds? One thing's for certain, the man from Boroughbridge will not be in awe of the 5-time champion.
I've got a lot of respect for Marius because he's won it 5 times, but, you know, at the end of the day, he's only human, so everyone gets beat one day.
It's the final event of round 3 of World's Strongest Man 2009. Can Darren Sadler pull off the shock of the tournament? Paul Dickinson and Colin Bryce have the details.
Thanks, Martin. They are the rules. 75 seconds in total to lift the 5 stones, the heaviest of which is a huge 160 kilograms. Well, first up was Jimmy Lorrays of Belgium. The debutant, he finished 4 stones in a time of 39.21. Along with him, we had the giant Russian, Alexander Khrushchev. 38.27 was his time for 4 stones. He led the Belgian.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome out the next 2 athletes. From the United States of America, Phil Pfister.
2 giant men, Phil Pfister. He's already qualified for the final. He can't be eliminated.
Irvin Katona.
Irvin Katona. Well, he can't qualify, but this is for pride, for the big man.
Ready?
So here we go. And Phil Pfister, having already qualified, Colin, it begs the question, how much of an effort is he going to make here?
Well, I've seen in the past he would do absolutely no effort at all. He put 1 stone on and waved to the crowd. But you know what? Phil Pfister wants to do this as a practice run. He wants to make sure he's in shape for the final, feel these stones. And you know what? He's going very well. Look at this, the 5th stone up. That's under 25 seconds. That is really quick.
That is motoring. Absolutely superb. Confirms his #1 status. And that is going to be tough to beat. We've still got Marius Pudzianowski to come. And, of course, England's Darren Sadler. And Katona. Now, can he get this 5th one up? This is the big one. 352 pounds it weighs. Is he tall enough? Is he strong enough?
Well, the longer he waits, the harder it gets. Oh, he's an inch or 2 away. And he says, you know what, I'm not going to qualify. Why hurt myself? He has a little glance to his bicep there. He's hurt that in the past. No point in pushing it. I'm sure we'll see Katona again next year, though, Paul. But Pfister, we're going to see him in the final.
That was brilliant by Pfister, and that lays down a marker to everybody else in the competition. Katona tried his best. He'll be back next year.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome out our next 2 athletes. From Poland, Marius Pudzianowski.
Pudzianowski, a top 5 finish in the Atlas Stones, guarantees his spot in the final. Darren Sadler, though, has got to win this one. And if he does, and if Pudzianowski scores no points or 1 point, well, Sadler will make it through. There's 1 qualifying spot remaining. Phil Pfister, of course, is already guaranteed his spot in the final after some brilliant performances. So here we go. We'll get an indication, I'm sure, early doors as to what sort of chance Darren Sadler has got. And Pudzianowski is ahead of the Yorkshireman. This is not good news for Darren Sadler.
With that first stone, it's almost like throwing a basketball for Darren. It's so high onto the plinth. Now he's got to play catch-up. Darren really has to go through the gears now. He's got to gamble on everything, throw it up at full speed.
Well, Pudzianowski, by my calculations, has made it through to the final. He's going well. There he is, 5 times world's strongest man. A tough man to beat in any circumstances. And he's beaten Darren Sadler. But Darren has tried so hard to make the final in the past, but he's going to miss out once more.
Oh, this is so painful for Darren. He's been in this spot before. He nearly put Pfister out in 2006, but he came third that year as well. Never so far has he made the final, and once again comes so close. Not for lack of effort, but with Pudzianowski and Pfister in his heat, you have to say it was a very difficult heat. You feel a little sorry for Sadler. In another heat, he might have made it through.
I just wonder how Darren Sadler will cope with this defeat. It's a tough one. Mariusz Pudzianowski, he's got to be wondering whether he can retain his title.
A brave effort from Sadler, sadly not enough to upset the 5-times champion. Ultimately, it's Pudzianowski qualifying comfortably. It's Phil Pfister, though, who wins again, and he has looked most impressive. The American tops the group, while the Dominator fails to win a single event. He may simply be on cruise control, though, so don't write off that 6th title just yet. Well, Darren Sadler pushed them hard, but it's the Dominator and the champion from 2006 who make it through to the final. You can be sure, though, that Sadler will be back next year in an attempt to go one better. We're into round 4 next, and another Englishman, Lawrence Shahlaei, will be aiming to reach the final for the first time. Until then, from Malta, goodbye.
And for all of us fans who absolutely love this competition, there's a chance to win a goodie bag containing all sorts of World's Strongest Man memorabilia on our website. That's bravo.co.uk. Of course, I say us fans, but I really mean you fans. I'm not allowed to enter. Something about me working here. After the break, Dublin